Good afternoon, friends. Today we are going to start the syllabus as per the university, designed by the University Board of Studies. There are two papers in the semester. Botany paper first, that is the title of the paper is Diversity of Cryptogames first, and the second paper is dealing with the morphology of angiosperms. This is in the first semester. In second semester, we have the another two papers, that is diversity of cryptogames second and the histology, anatomy and embryology of the plants. So today we are focused on the first paper, that is morphology of the angiospermic plants, in which we learn the root system. The root is the descending axis of the plant body, which grows towards the center of the gravity and water and away from the light. Normally, the root system is growing below the soil. It is the leafless, non-green portion of the plant and without nodes and internodes. Some exceptional cases, the roots produces only the similar branches, and the main axis of the root develop from the radicle, that is the part that gives rise to the root system. Actually, the plant consists of the shoot system and the root system. The shoot is developed from the plumule and the root is developed from the radicle. Now, what are the main parts of the roots? The root is having the three different portions. As we know that the first one is the root cap. It has the region of the cell division, then region of the elongation and the region of the maturation. So these are the three parts of the root. Actually, the primary roots, then secondary roots are also there. The lateral roots is called as the secondary roots, and it produces the acropetal in succession. Mainly, the plant system is consisting of the two types of the roots, namely the taproot system and the adventitious root system. Now let us focus on the taproot system. As we know that the two types of the roots, that taproots is always developed from the radicle. It persists and continues to grow, giving rise to the main root of the plant, for example the dicotyledonous plants. And the root is distinctly having the primary and the secondary roots. Say for an example, the neem, the tura and the mango. These are the some examples of the taproot system. And the adventitious root system is, apart from that, it is the fibrous structures. It develops from the nodal portion. Many roots are coming from the nodal point, and this type of the root is also developed from the radicle. And the seedling established, they usually occurs, such type of the roots are occurs generally in the monocotyledonous plants. So whenever we segregate these two kinds of the plants, that taproot is having the very typical and the adventitious root is also the very typical. It is found in the monocotyledonous plants, and the taproot is found in the dicotyledonous plants. Let us see the function of the roots. The normal function of the roots is to fix firmly into the soil and absorb some mineral elements, food material in the form of starch, mineral elements, micronutrients, and provided to the aerial portion of the body. and also it is performing very important functions, that it gives a mechanical strength and support to the whole plant body. This is very important function. Then secondly, it absorbs these kinds of the elements from the soil and provided to the parts, aerial shoots, every parts of the aerial shoots, and it performs the another important function is one of the anchoring agent. Now let us focus on the modifications of the roots. There are the different modifications of the underground root, aerial roots. Now underground roots are categorized into the tuberous and adventitious types. Tap roots and the adventitious roots. Underground root system is consisting of the tap roots and the adventitious roots. The tap root is having the certain modifications. Say for an example, conical roots, fusiform roots, napiform roots, tuberous roots, nematophores. So conical root is one of the example is a carrot. Fusiform root having the example of the radish. Napiform root, it is found in the beetroot. Some of the tuberous roots, that is for example is sweet potato, and nematophores is just, we can call it as the type which is highly modified. It is called as the respiratory root. It develops into the certain lenticels on the particular roots. This type of the plants are generally found, such type of the roots are generally found in the mangrove plants. And the adventitious roots is again categorized into, modified into the certain root types like the tuberous root, fasciculated roots, nodulated root, moniliform roots, and the annulated roots. Now let us see one by one, but before that there is one another kind of the category that is known as aerial roots. Aerial roots, it is highly modified and it is categorized into prop roots, stilt root, climbing roots, and some of the epiphytic roots, and some of them are the hosteria. Let us see one by one. Now focus on the first, the underground root system, modifications of the underground taproot system. As roots are the anchoring agent, as we very well know that roots store the amount of food material. They are thick, they are fleshy, accumulate certain kinds of the food material, and that kind of the root is called as the napiform root. Napiform roots are the kind of root which swellens, the upper part will be swollen and becoming the tapering towards the lower end, and hence it is called as the napiform root. Say for an example, the beet root or the turnip. Then conical root is the type of root in which it is another modification of the taproot system when the taproot is swollen at the middle portion, swollen at the apical portion and tapering towards the end, that is just like a conical shape, and that's why this type of root is called as a conical root. For example is carrot. And the third modification of the taproot system is a fusiform root. Let us see about the fusiform root. This type of the modification of the taproot, when the taproot is swollen at the middle and gradually tapering towards the both end, and that's appearance just like a spindle, and that's why it is called it as a fusiform root. That for example is a radish. Now tuberous root is another type when the taproot is irregularly swollen and does not maintain any particular shape. It is called tuberous root. For example 4 o'clock plant. And let us just earlierly told you that is nematophores. Nematophores are the such a kinds of the respiratory roots found in the plants which is growing in the marshy places. These roots develop from the underground roots system and grows vertically upwards above the soil surface, and since they grow against the gravity center of gravity, and they are called as negatively geotrophic, and such root branches are called as the nematophores. These nematophores having certain cells that is called as lenticels, that is the perforations on that root, and with the help of these lenticels they are performing the function of the respiration. That's why it is called as the respiratory roots. Now let us see about the modification of the adventitious roots. There are the certain types. One of them is tuberous roots. This kinds of the root is uniformly swollen and does not maintain the particular shape. Such a root is called as a tuberous root. These are produced singly. In sweet potato, adventitious roots grows from the nodes of the running stem. These become irregularly swollen and from the edible tuberous. Say for an example is the sweet potato. This is one of the important example. Now let us see about the fasciculated root. When many swollen adventitious roots occurs in the form of cluster at the base of that particular stem, and that it is in a very typical fasciculation manner, and that's why that type of root is called as the fasciculated roots. They are in the form of clusters. Say for an example is this type of root is found in the asparagus, found in the dahlia. These are the certain examples. Now let us focus on the nodulous root. Nodulous roots become suddenly swollen at the tip or the apices and forms the roots tuber-like structures and noodle-like structures of the roots. For an example is a ginger and turmeric. These are the best example of the nodulous root. One of the another important example is Arachis hypogaea, that we call it as groundnut. Then the third type of the modification of the adventitious root is moniliform root. This type of the root is swollen and constricted at the frequent intervals or the frequent places, and just appear just like a beaded structure to the root, and that's why that is called as the moniliform roots. Such type of roots is generally occurs in the grasses, Dioscorea. These are the certain examples. Now let us focus on the annulated roots. This is apart from the moniliform roots. In this kind of the root, where the root is made up of from the number of disc-like swellings places one above the other, and just like annular rings of the particular roots, and hence that type of root is called as the annulated roots. For example, that is the Caphelis and Isopicania. So these are the certain examples of these particular roots. So such roots are called as the adventitious roots, modification of the adventitious roots. Now let us focus on the modification of the additional support that gives the support to the particular aerial shoots, aerial parts. That is one of the root is a proof root or still roots. It is growing and it is underground system, and it develops the certain modified roots. They are exhaust to the air, and that's why it is called aerial roots. That say for an example of the maize, jawar, pandanus, etc. These are the certain examples. Some of the climbing roots are also there. Some of the sucking roots are also there. Then some epiphytic roots. That type of roots are growing on the other plants. And some of the banyan tree, that is a proof roots, they will be developed in the banyan. In Marathi we can say that word, that producing into the such a type of the roots. So these kinds of the roots that is very much apart from the each other, that is taproot, adventitious roots, taproots having their different modification, adventitious roots having their different modification, and some of the roots they are aerial roots. So this is about the particular root system. As we are very well known about the particular root systems, and these root systems are generally found in the monocotyledonous plants as well as the dicotyledonous plants. The taproot system is the identification mark of the taproot system is generally found in the dicots, and the fibrous root system is generally found in the monocotyledonous plants. So thank you for hearing me patiently. Thank you one and all.